Bonjour et bienvenue à notre rendez-vous quotidien pour la presse, en ligne et en direct sur EBS. Nous sommes aujourd'hui le jeudi 4 mars. Nous avons seulement une annonce pour vous aujourd'hui. Je voudrais passer la parole à Viviane qui a de bonnes nouvelles pour la Roumanie.
Good afternoon. Indeed, the European Commission has approved the funding of 77 million euros from the Cohesion Fund to improve the waste collection, treatment and recycling system in the Galati County in southeast Romania. This major project will provide a more integrated, efficient and sustainable waste management service, improving the quality of the environment and life for over more than 500,000 people living in this area. Moreover, it will create approximately 300 new jobs during the construction phase and almost 400 during the operational phase. You will find more information on our European funded investments in Romania at the Open Data platform, as well as in today's daily news. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Viviane. Before moving on to your questions, let me remind you that at 1 p.m. we will have a press conference with Vice President Vera Jourova and Commissioner Helena Dalli, who will present to you the Commission's proposal on pay transparency measures to ensure that women and men get equal pay for equal work. Mrs. Jourova will be connected, in fact, so we will need to stop at 55 at the latest in order to set up the connection with her. And with that, we can start with your questions, and I give the floor to Odile.
Sur la BBC, Monsieur Poonawala, le CEO et fils du fondateur du célèbre Serum Institute of India, a déclaré que si on voulait avancer davantage pour la production des vaccins, il serait peut-être utile que toutes les différentes agences de régulation se mettent d'accord, peut-être même pour un temps limité, mais en cas d'urgence. Qu'est-ce que vous pensez de cette proposition? Merci.
Merci. Une question pour Stéphane.
Bonjour Odile, merci beaucoup. Je ne pense pas que je peux dire beaucoup sur cette proposition. Ce que je tiens à souligner, c'est que nous avons adopté notre HERA Incubator, qui a identifié une série de défis auxquels nous devons faire face, qui a identifié une série d'approches qui nous aident à développer plus encore dans le développement de la capacité de production, d'être mieux préparés pour assurer le développement de vaccins qui peuvent aussi être utilisés contre les variantes. Le HERA Incubator propose aussi certaines mesures régulatoires qui permettent à accélérer les procédures d'approbation, par exemple. Et donc, je pense que ça, c'est un travail qui est en cours et juste dans le but d'être mieux équipé pour assurer une meilleure production de capacité, être mieux préparé aux variantes. Merci.
Merci. Nous allons continuer sur le thème des vaccins, la vaccination. Donc, merci de ne garder votre main levée que si c'est sur ce sujet pour le moment. Et nous passons à Natalia. Go ahead, Natalia.
Hello?
Yes,
Okay,
go ahead.
okay. Yeah, I have actually two questions. One of them is on health and the other one, it's not on health, but just let me know if I should put just one and then
Just
you ask me
put
later.
one for the moment, and we'll come back to other issues later.
Okay, thank you. I wanted to know, after the decision of the EMA to start the rolling review, if the European Commission is in contact with the developers of the Sputnik vaccine in order to make a purchase agreement. Thanks.
Stéphane.
Thank you very much. First, thank you very much for this question. First, I think you have to make a clear distinction between two strands of work. There's on the one hand what EMA is doing, which is the rolling review which has started. And then there is, on the other hand, indeed, the question as to whether the vaccine should be part of the vaccine portfolio or not. Currently, no talks are ongoing to integrate the Sputnik vaccine in the portfolio. I would like to stress, however, that our vaccine strategy is a joint strategy. That means a strategy which has been designed and is implemented with the member states, Commission and member states together. And so member states and Commission may decide at any time to integrate other vaccines into the vaccine portfolio. Thank you.
But again, Natalia, just to make it absolutely clear, it's not because a vaccine is approved at European level following a positive assessment by EMA that there is any obligation on the Commission to include it in our portfolio. Okay, these are completely separate matters. Okay, we continue on this theme with Sander.
Thank you very much. It will turn out to be a follow-up question because we have seen, of course, the advanced purchase agreements with other manufacturers. So if you have a vaccine which, based on the publication in the Lancet, is maybe proven to be effective, why would you not get in touch with the manufacturer and make an advanced purchase, as we have done with the others? So are you planning on reaching out to the manufacturer to make an advanced purchase agreement? Is the steering group considering this? And when can we see that happening, if at all? Thank you.
No, Sander, I think we have answered that question. We have answered that question today, a couple of days ago, regularly. If at any point in time the member states and the Commission were to come to a decision on the possible inclusion of another vaccine in our strategy, we would inform you. But we have nothing to add at this point in time. Lise.
Yes, hello. My question is also, or actually I have two questions also about vaccines. And my first question is also on the EMA review. I wonder if the Commission sees any geopolitical issues concerning this approval. And then my second question is about the visit of the Danish and Austrian Prime Ministers today to Israel. What does the Commission say to Denmark and Austria about the fact that they want to cooperate with Israel on vaccines because they don't believe that the EU's vaccine strategy is enough? I wonder if you have some comments on that, please.
Thank you. On the first question on geopolitical issues related to an assessment by EMA, I would like to say very clearly, EMA undertakes its analysis of a vaccine based on health-related criteria related to the safety and the efficacy of the vaccine. Full stop. There is no other consideration than that. And therefore, geopolitics have nothing to do with the fact that you consider that EMA would consider a vaccine safe and efficacious or not. It's based on the assessment of the vaccine, and that is based on the data that is provided by the company. On the second point, we have already had a discussion on this yesterday, and we have said that, of course, member states, we welcome the fact that member states are looking at all possible options to improve the common European response to the virus. The prime ministers have made very clear that this is in no way in opposition to the EU's agreed strategy, of which they are a full part. And for our part, we have reminded you yesterday of the fact that we have launched the initiative of the HERA incubator that has the objective of working on identifying new variants of the virus and developing and rolling out the answers to that. And we count on the support of all member states, and indeed both the Danish and the Austrian Prime Minister had co-signed a letter to the President of the European Council before the last European Council, where they explicitly supported the Commission's initiative in this respect. So for us, there is no contradiction. It is clear that there is support for the European strategy, and that member states are, of course, then also free to explore other possible cooperations on health-related issues. That is entirely normal. Jérôme.
Thank you, Eric. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah, sorry, I have a question now in relation to following the health ministers' meeting last Monday. Commissioner Kyriakides was asked why there are millions of vaccines in the EU that aren't being used. And she says one of the reasons might be because of vaccine hesitancy. Now, I don't know, is that the official position of the European Commission? I mean, you might expect vaccine hesitancy when you've vaccinated more than 80% of the population, but when it's less than 10%, it seems like a far-fetched idea. So do we have any concrete examples of where this is a problem? Because, we see evidence across the EU where you have large vaccination centres that have been set up, and yet they're empty because of, the supply of vaccines. In Ireland, for example, where I come from, you have people phoning into radio stations, people in their 70s, their 80s, their 90s. I even heard a woman who was over 100 years old, and they're saying they haven't even been contacted about vaccines. So, is this adding insult to injury when you have the health commissioner saying that the reason we have millions of vaccines? I mean, I would suggest other reasons would be more valid, like people waiting for second doses and so on of the vaccines that require 2 doses. But to say vaccine hesitancy, is this the official position of the European Commission?
Stéphane.
Thank you very much. It is not up to me here to make an assessment of what particular member states should be doing or should not be doing. You know that already in October we had launched a communication with very practical recommendations and guidance helping member states to organize the different vaccination programs. Vaccination is a national competence, as you know, and it's also a very huge, complex task. It's the first time that we're facing a pandemic of this type. Vaccination hesitancy or vaccine hesitancy is an important element that you have to take into account. We need to convince the European citizens that it is not just vaccines, but it's vaccination that saves lives. And we've taken several steps together with the member states to overcome such vaccination hesitancy. One of them being, for instance, the fact that we expect that vaccines are assessed on their safety and efficacy by the European Medicines Agency. Thank you.
Jérôme, you have a follow-up.
I just wonder if the President of the Commission agrees, because Commissioner Shinnis, following the same meeting on Monday, he said, and I quote directly, "The European vaccination strategy is a success." This is what he said following the health ministers' meeting on Monday. Is that something you think that the President of the European Commission would agree with?
Oh, Jérôme, you know very well that the President has made many statements on our vaccine strategy and the rollout. She continues to believe that the vaccine strategy is the right answer, is the right approach. She has acknowledged that there are lessons to be learned from the first stages of implementation of the report, but that we are confident that we are going to have a successful rollout of the vaccine strategy and of the member state vaccination strategy. Clearly, as she has said, it's a marathon, not a sprint. And therefore, we have set an objective, as you know, which is to have 70% of adults vaccinated by the end of the summer. And this is what we are working towards. Oliver.
Hi. On the Sputnik authorization issue, a couple of questions. Did either the, the Institut Gamaleya or the German-based company Erfarm GmbH reach out to the Commission about a possible advance purchase agreement or any other sort of arrangement they might be interested in? So did you have any contact with either the Russian developers of the Sputnik V or this German-based company, which basically is a Russian company, apparently with a German factory, that is the applicant for the authorization at EMA? And a second question, the Commission has been very adamant stating that actually the number of vaccines you already secured in the existing 6 contracts would be way more than enough to cover Europe this year and next year. What would be the rationale of adding any further vaccine producer with an advance purchase agreement? Thank you.
Stéphane.
On your first question, I can say that no talks are ongoing between the negotiation team and the producer or institutes or companies or organizations behind this the Sputnik vaccine. That's the first thing. On the second topic, yes, we have said that we believe that we're confident that the supply lines that have been developed thanks to the joint EU vaccine strategy will help us to reach the target of 70% by the summer of this year. And we are very much working with the companies and with the member states to make sure that this happens. Of course, as Eric said before, Commission and member states may at any time decide if they think there is a need to do so to further develop or further diversify the current vaccine portfolio. Thank you.
I mean, we have still 2 negotiations that are ongoing, right, with Novavax and Valneva. So it's always a question of trying to reach different objectives. One is the volume of vaccines we are going to need. The other is, of course, making sure that we can have a speedy delivery of vaccines. This is why, for example, we decided to sign a second contract with BioNTech, as you know, in order to ensure that we could try to speed up the delivery of vaccines in the European Union, because it was already approved that we knew that there was a possibility for them to help in this respect, etc. So it's a sort of balance that you have to reach. But as we say in French, il ne faut pas renverser les tables, and asking us why we would do something that we have not said that we are going to do. Let us see what developments are when it comes to the negotiation of further contracts. But for the moment, the situation is the one that Stéphane has described to you. Lukáš.
Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead, Lukáš.
Yes, I have a question on AstraZeneca. Today, that company has canceled delivery of 62,000 doses of vaccines to Poland, informed the president of the Polish Governmental Strategic Reserve Agency. This delivery was expected for today morning, actually. And let me quote him. AstraZeneca informed us at the last minute. The situation is absolutely outrageous for us. Such a practice demolished the vaccination schedule in the country. So what is your comment to that situation, and what can you do with it? Thank you very much.
Stéphane.
Thank you very much, Lukáš. You know that we are in constant talks with the company. You know that already several weeks ago, more than a month ago, indeed, the company had informed us that there were problems with the production capacity. As a result, talks continue to be ongoing between the Commission, member states, and the company. I cannot, of course, comment on the specific situation in any given country, but we have the steering board with representatives of the different member states. We have the Commission, which continues to focus very hard on ensuring timely deliveries of sufficient doses of the vaccines. Mr. Soyo mentioned in the Parliament himself that they would do their utmost best to ensure, for instance, 40 million deliveries by Q1. We, from our side, from Commission and Member State side, if I can say, are in constant contact with the company to do everything we can to have these necessary deliveries. Thank you.
Thank you. David.
Oui, trois questions, si c'est possible. La première, vous parlez, et tout le monde, les chefs d'État, la présidente de la Commission, la commissaire, tout le monde dit qu'il faut de la transparence. Alors, je te demande, est-ce que la Commission a été informée de nouvelles problèmes dans les fournitures de AstraZeneca, au nom de la transparence et de la possibilité pour nos journalistes d'expliquer les choses? Deuxième question sur Sputnik. Est-ce qu'à l'état actuel des choses, Sputnik remplit les critères qui ont été fixés par la stratégie de l'Union européenne. Il y a, je crois, la question de la production en Europe, il y a plusieurs critères. Est-ce qu'il remplit les critères? Troisième question, on a vu le tweet hier du Premier ministre tchèque sur les 100 000 doses. Il a parlé du mécanisme de solidarité européen. Je voulais voir si c'est possible plus de détails, c'est-à-dire s'il y a effectivement un mécanisme européen géré par la Commission, ou c'est des donations ou prêts bilatérales, et quels pays ont participé à cette opération, si j'ai bien compris, aussi destinée à la Slovaquie. Merci.
Merci beaucoup, David, pour tes questions, pour tes trois questions. D'abord sur la transparence et AstraZeneca. Nous restons en contact, comme je viens de l'expliquer, avec la société AstraZeneca. Il est évident que la livraison de fournitures, d'un nombre suffisant de fournitures, est fondamentale pour nous tous, et donc nous restons en contact avec la société. Je ne peux évidemment pas expliquer qui a dit quoi, quand, dans quelles circonstances et à quelles conditions, mais les contacts et les discussions sont en cours. Ça, c'est la première chose. En ce qui concerne Sputnik, est-ce que Sputnik remplit les critères de la stratégie de vaccination? Je pense que c'est un peu tôt de s'exprimer là-dessus. Je viens de dire qu'il n'y a pas de contact à ce stade-ci entre la société et l'équipe des négociateurs, l'équipe européenne des négociateurs. Et il faut évidemment, pour vérifier, il y a toute une série de critères, comme tu les as énumérés toi-même, qui doivent être remplis. Il est difficile de nous prononcer sur le fait si la société a oui ou non rempli des critères, s'il n'y a pas de discussion qui se...
Oui, mais ce que je voudrais ajouter, c'est que c'est pas une situation noir et blanc, David. C'est pas parce que tu remplis les critères que automatiquement on te prend dans une stratégie. Il ne faut pas oublier qu'il y a des moyens budgétaires qui doivent être mis à disposition. Il y a une décision à prendre d'opportunité. Donc c'est nécessaire mais pas suffisant de remplir les critères, si tu préfères. On n'a pas une checklist, et à partir du moment où une entreprise remplirait tous les critères, nécessairement on devrait engager des négociations avec cette entreprise. Il y a une question d'opportunité par rapport à la situation, de voir si on considère que cela vaut la peine ou pas. Et encore une fois, ça c'est une appréciation qui doit être portée par l'ensemble des acteurs, donc pas simplement par la Commission, mais par la Commission et les États membres.
Sur ta question sur la livraison de doses pour certains pays, ce que je peux t'expliquer, c'est que il y a évidemment la situation des États membres est suivie évidemment dans le cadre du Steering Board, par exemple, entre autres la situation des pays qui se trouvent dans des situations difficiles. Et suivant des discussions à l'intérieur du Steering Board, le comité de pilotage, et le fait que BioNTech Pfizer a réussi à accélérer les livraisons pour le mois de mars, on a décidé que le surplus de doses qui est créé par cette accélération serait utilisé pour les États membres qui se trouvent dans une situation particulièrement difficile. Et donc, nous sommes donc très contents que grâce à la collaboration entre les États membres, la Commission et la société, on a pu prendre en considération les besoins des États membres qui se trouvent donc dans des situations particulièrement difficiles. Merci.
David, tu as un follow-up?
Oui, simplement sur la première question de AstraZeneca, je ne te demande pas de savoir qui a dit quoi ou à qui dans le steering group. Je veux savoir si vous êtes informé qu'il y aura encore des problèmes de fourniture au mois de mars, donc premier trimestre, par rapport à ce que AstraZeneca avait dit et garanti.
Mais David, je crois que la réponse est oui, clairement. On est en contact quotidien avec AstraZeneca et donc on est au courant des problèmes de livraison qui peuvent arriver à un moment ou à un autre. C'est bien pour ça que nous avons un dialogue constant avec et cette entreprise et les autres entreprises. Mais comme l'a dit Stéphane, on ne peut pas te dire ici exactement à quel moment, au cours de quelle conversation, quelle information nous est donnée sur un retard X ou Y. Cela se fait dans le cadre des discussions qu'il y a avec l'entreprise, notamment dans le cadre du Steering Board. Alors, je passe maintenant à Christian.
Oui, bonjour, j'ai 3 petites questions. La première concerne effectivement la stratégie de vaccination. On voit qu'il y a quand même beaucoup de problèmes, vous les avez évoqués, les doses qui n'arrivent pas, les gens qui ne vont pas se faire vacciner. Ma question est toute bête, est-ce que vous pensez au rythme actuel que vous arriverez à tenir cet objectif? Je sais que tu le dis, mais concrètement, tout a pris du retard. Est-ce que ça risque pas effectivement d'avoir du retard? Et deuxième point plus précis, est-ce que les 70% de vaccinés, c'est 1 ou 2 doses? Parce qu'effectivement, avec 1 dose, on peut y arriver. Avec les 2 doses, ça pourrait être un petit peu plus compliqué. Ma deuxième question, elle est assez stupide, mais aujourd'hui, on a des vaccinations avec les vaccins qui sont préconisés, qui ont été validés par l'EMA, et on a des États membres dont les ressortissants sont vaccinés avec Sputnik, le chinois, etc., dont on ne sait rien, qui n'ont pas accepté du tout le jeu de la validation par un organisme comme l'Agence européenne pour le médicament. Ma question bête, c'est si jamais on a un pass, est-ce que les gens qui sont vaccinés avec ces vaccins qui n'ont pas été homologués par l'EMA, on considère que c'est OK et que donc on peut les laisser circuler dans Schengen? Je pense que c'est une question bête, mais moi, elle me turlupine. Et ma troisième question, elle est un peu plus politique. Vous en prenez plein les dents en ce moment de critiques qui sont, à mon avis, infondées dans les États membres, qui critiquent la présidente, qui critiquent votre stratégie, qui critiquent... Et vous dites rien. Mais rien de rien, vous êtes droit dans vos bottes, ici à la tribune, en disant merci, on ne fait pas de commentaires. Est-ce que c'est pas un peu difficile de ne pas arriver à faire ce travail pédagogique, de dire que les États membres ont une lourde responsabilité, que quand même, quand en novembre, il y a eu un sommet qui a été consacré au Covid et qu'on a su, parce qu'ils en ont discuté, qu'on était parti jusqu'en septembre de 2021, ils avaient 4 mois pour se préparer pour faire des centres de vaccination. En Belgique, ils n'ont rien fait. En France, ils n'ont rien fait. Ma consoeur irlandaise a dit qu'il n'y a rien. Je veux dire, ma mère a 85 ans, désolé d'en revenir comme ça, elle est incapable de se faire vacciner aujourd'hui. Les trucs sont à saturation dans un département français. Et quand j'ai posé la question, on m'a dit dans tous les départements français, c'est la même chose. On n'arrive même pas à vacciner les seniors qui ne sont pas en EHPAD. Comment est-ce que vous pouvez tenir 70% si on est dans cette situation? Donc c'est des questions qui sont bêtes, mais que je me pose parce qu'on me les pose et je ne sais pas quoi répondre aux gens qui me les posent. Merci.
Merci Christian. La première chose à dire, c'est qu'aucune de tes questions n'est bête. Loin de là, elles sont toutes évidemment très pertinentes et ce d'autant plus qu'elles touchent à la santé et à la vie de nos concitoyens. Et donc ce sont des sujets qui sont d'une extrême importance et pour vous, mais bien entendu aussi pour nous. En ce qui concerne l'objectif de 70%, n'oublie pas que notre objectif, c'est d'être en mesure de livrer une quantité suffisante de doses pour pouvoir arriver à la vaccination de 70% des adultes d'ici l'été, d'ici la fin de l'été de cette année-ci. Il y a certains vaccins qui nécessitent 2 doses, il y a d'autres vaccins qui nécessitent 1 dose, enfin en tout cas à partir du moment où il y aurait une autorisation d'une part basée sur une évaluation positive de l'Agence européenne du médicament et une mise sur le marché par la Commission européenne. Donc la réponse est, ça dépend du vaccin dont on parle, mais on parle bien de vaccination complète des adultes. Nous continuons à penser que nous serons en mesure de livrer un nombre de doses suffisant aux États membres, enfin plutôt que les entreprises pharmaceutiques, puisque ce n'est pas nous qui livrons, seront en mesure de livrer un nombre suffisant de doses aux États membres pour tenir cet objectif. Et c'est ce sur quoi nous travaillons. Et bien entendu, c'est vrai, il y a des retards, on en parle ici régulièrement, mais vous voyez bien aussi que la courbe de livraison est croissante. Est-ce que les États membres seront ensuite en mesure de mener à bien des campagnes de vaccination pour tenir cet objectif? C'est une question qu'il faut leur poser à eux. Nous avons fait un certain nombre de recommandations dans ce domaine à l'époque, nous avons travaillé, mais nous avons dit ici sur le podium à de très nombreuses reprises que depuis le début, d'une part, la stratégie d'achat des vaccins est une entreprise conjointe entre la Commission et les États membres. Donc nous n'avons jamais dit que c'était la Commission qui s'occupait uniquement de cela et que les États membres n'avaient pas un rôle à jouer. Au contraire, nous avons toujours mis l'accent sur le fait que la stratégie de conclusion, de négociation et de conclusion d'accords de préachat avec les entreprises avait été faite conjointement par la Commission et les États membres. Donc ça, c'est de la première chose. La deuxième chose, c'est que nous avons toujours dit que les campagnes de vaccination sont de la responsabilité des États membres. Et que, bien entendu, nous avons travaillé avec les États membres et nous les avons incités à s'informer mutuellement pour essayer d'organiser les choses de la manière la plus efficace possible. Mais il est clair que l'Union européenne s'est concentrée sur la négociation des accords de préachat. Ensuite, ce sont les États membres qui achètent les doses et qui les distribuent et les utilisent sur le territoire de leur État membre. En ce qui concerne le pass et Sputnik, Sinovac, etc., ce sont des questions auxquelles nous ne pouvons pas répondre pour le moment. Ce sont des questions qui sont discutées dans le cadre de la préparation des propositions que la Commission a annoncé qu'elle fera et qui est maintenant fixée a priori, en tout cas c'est dans la liste des points prévus pour le 17 mars. Donc il faudra attendre de voir quelle est la proposition que nous serons amenés à faire. Et sur la question de la responsabilité, comme tu l'as dit, voilà, j'ai déjà répondu. Je suis heureux de dire que ma propre mère, qui fait aussi partie du groupe dont tu parles, des personnes âgées, elle a pu se faire vacciner. Donc, tu vois que la situation n'est pas nécessairement exactement la même partout sur le territoire de notre beau pays. Voilà. Christian, tu as une question de suivi?
Non, c'est juste un commentaire, donc c'est bien clair. Si jamais vous avez rempli votre part du marché, que vous avez fait en sorte que les doses soient mises à disposition et qu'à la fin de l'été, les 70% ne sont pas faits, la responsabilité sera aux États membres. Et donc qu'il faut arrêter d'écrire en disant la Commission a fait un mauvais travail, ce que vous avez fait, vous l'avez fait, les États membres ont leurs responsabilités et comme d'habitude, ils se défaussent sur la Commission européenne, ce qui est assez scandaleux, excuse-moi, et je voulais le dire. Merci.
Christian, je suis très heureux du soutien que tu apportes à la Commission européenne dans ce Mid-Day. Je pense qu'il faut essayer de voir les choses du point de vue des citoyens européens. Les citoyens européens, très certainement, voient un ensemble d'acteurs qui, ensemble, doivent résoudre un problème auquel ils sont confrontés. Je pense qu'au bout du compte, bien entendu, si nous sommes bien conscients de la différence dans les responsabilités entre l'Union européenne d'une part et les États membres de l'autre, pour nos concitoyens, ce qui compte, c'est qu'au bout du compte, cela marche. C'est pour ça qu'il y a des conseils qui se réunissent, des comités qui se réunissent où les représentants des États membres discutent des campagnes de vaccination et nous essayons de faciliter ce dialogue. Mais il est clair aussi, tu as raison de le souligner, qu'il y a dans les traités une répartition des compétences qui est très claire. Et c'est bien pour cela que nous avons fait des propositions en ce qui concerne une Union européenne de la santé pour l'avenir. C'est bien qu'à l'heure actuelle, nous travaillons dans un système où, dans le domaine de la santé, la responsabilité et les prérogatives sont principalement au niveau national et où la Commission a entamé un certain nombre d'actions, notamment et principalement dans le domaine des contrats de préachat, afin de faciliter une réponse européenne coordonnée, la plus efficace possible. Et je rappellerai encore autre chose, c'est que les États membres sont tous extrêmement différents, que ce soit en termes d'organisation territoriale, que ce soit en termes de taille de population, de densité de population, de pouvoir d'achat, etc., etc. Et que c'est bien pour ça qu'il a fallu que nous travaillions sur un portefeuille de vaccins. Et deuxièmement, c'est bien pour cela qu'il est essentiel que la réponse en ce qui concerne la stratégie de vaccination, donc la manière dont on distribue et l'on injecte les doses aux citoyens, se fasse au plus proche des territoires, donc des États membres, puisque il n'y a pas une situation uniforme. On ne peut pas comparer une île comme Malte et un pays comme l'Allemagne. Voilà, continuons. We move to David. Go ahead.
Thanks, Eric. Just quickly, because I know we're running out of time, to be clear, I don't think I've heard any of our colleagues ever suggest to you that any of the member states in their criticism are against the Commission's vaccination strategy or program. And you keep telling us that, you know, they're all for it. We think they are all for it. What they say is that, you know, it is too slow, that maybe it's necessary but not sufficient. And as you just put it, from the perspective of citizens, they see in the UK, in the US, countries that we could say are peers of EU countries, that in fact populations that are now younger, that are not at high risk, are already being vaccinated. But if I can ask you on a different topic, same topic, different angle altogether, is there any update on the Commission itself, the members of the Commission and the employees of the Commission being vaccinated, and then knowing that you've told us many times that this happens under the Belgian national rules? We've seen some indication of countries, whether they're EU countries or third countries, wanting to send vaccine for their citizens or their diplomats to Belgium. Is there any reason that the Commission sees why, if an EU member state, say, wants to send vaccine to its permanent representation to vaccinate some of its officials or even some of its citizens who are enjoying free movement here in Belgium, that there's any reason why those governments can't vaccinate their own citizens using the vaccine supply that they have from the Commission's perspective? Thank you very much.
So there are two branches to your question. On the first branch concerning vaccination of EU staff, we have absolutely no updates to provide. Balázs has given you the answer to that, which is that we are following the Belgian rollout strategy, and therefore for the moment this has not yet started in the Commission. As to your second question, quite frankly, this is really not a question. This is really not a question for us. We are not in charge, as I've said, of deciding what is the vaccination strategy that a member state should follow, or agreements between member states on how they should proceed for citizens who are living in another member state. Fact is that for EU officials and other staff who are residents in Belgium, we will follow the timeline set by the Belgian authorities. You have a follow-up, David?
It's just to say that given the Commission's coordinating role in so many other aspects of this, and knowing that the legal competences lie one way or another, you know, I just forgive me for asking, you know, at the podium, because it is, you know, who else is there to ask? I mean, we can ask the Belgian authorities, but again, if there's anyone to speak for the 27 member states, it would be helpful to know that, in fact, the Commission, as a matter of principle, doesn't object to national capitals sending vaccine for their citizens wherever those citizens might be in a member state or not in a member state. But I'm not sure that the Belgians can't answer, obviously, for the Commission either,
no,
right?
sorry, David, but this is a question. This is a question for the Council. This is not a question for the Commission. I mean, for God's sake, you know, we have just discussed at length on the basis of the previous question the difference in prerogatives between the Commission and member states. So we are not here to have an opinion on absolutely everything that is happening in the European Union related to the vaccination strategy. So I think you have a very legitimate question. There's no doubt about that. But I would ask you to address it to the Council. Okay, we are running out of time, so I'll take a couple of more questions on vaccination and then come back to Natalia, who had a question on something else. Joseph. Joseph, there's no mic or camera that is connected as far as I can see, so I move to Verena. Verena.
Now it seems to happen.
Yes, go ahead.
Hi. Yes. Thanks for this. I'm Verena with the German press agency. As far as I understood you, You just said, Stefan, that BioNTech Pfizer is going to accelerate its deliveries in March. I was wondering if you could put a number on that. By how much do you expect this delivery to be increased? And will this mean that the total number that you expected of 106 million doses for the first quarter might be exceeded, and by what number? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Verena. We do not communicate on numbers per company. I can only say that because thanks to the acceleration, additional doses will be made available in March, which will go to the 3 countries that you know. And it's these doses that go to these countries that are exactly the result of the acceleration of this production. Thank you.
Thank you. Hans.
Just had to run back here to my computer. I have a question on Clément Beaune's comments. It's not on vaccines, but related on the debt rules. He suggested that there should be a debate now because the debt rules of 60% are no more the reality given the impact of Corona. Does the Commission have a comment on that, please?
Oh, sorry, Hans. I have other people lined up on non-COVID related, on non-health related issues. So if you don't mind, and we've also had a press conference on this. So I will go to Natalia, since I do not see any other COVID related question.
Hello.
Natalia, hi.
Again. So my question is on a state aid case, because today the Court of Justice of the European Union has validated the decision of the European Commission to deem illegal the state aid that different football clubs in Spain has received. So I wanted to know what this means. Like, what is the next step now? Like, will the European Commission ask Spain to do something about this? Like, I basically want to know what this means in practical terms.
Thank you. A question for Ariana.
Hello, good morning. I hope you can hear me and see me.
Yeah, go ahead.
Good. So indeed, today there has been this judgment. We have taken note of the judgment of the Court of Justice to follow the Commission's arguments and annul the decision of the General Court in relation to the Commission's negative decision of 2013 on state aid implemented by Spain in favor of certain football clubs. We have indeed received your question this morning on the next steps for Spain. We are verifying, and we will get back to you shortly after midday with a reply.
Thank you. Are there other questions for Ariana on competition-related cases? Please only keep your hand raised if it is on competition. Okay, that does not seem to be the case. So I go to Ekrem, who had a question on something else. Go ahead, Ekrem.
Merci, Eric. I have 2 questions. Do you hear me? 2 questions on Western Balkans. The first is on Albania reforms, and I guess that goes to Anna. We are hearing already since 2 months ago that from the people from the Commission, either through social media or the last time in a press conference by Mr. Borrell and Oliver Varhelyi, that Albania has met now the conditions to deserve the IGC. And the question is more or less of the technical nature. I understand that some other states do not accept this kind of non-official communication of between what happened in Albania in December. How is the Commission going to make official its position to the 27 member states? Is it going to send a special letter now or whenever it will send it, or it will do through the annual progress report? And then I have a question for Adalbert on more or less the same
sorry.
nation.
We will take things, by issue, okay? Because we have very little time left. So you get one question for the moment, and then we'll see if there are other questions related to enlargement policy. Anna.
Hi, many thanks, Ekrem. I do not have any particular date or anything to announce. I think that Commissioner Vahey was very clear during the press conference of the Association and Stabilization Council with Albania, and also, of course, HRVP was very clear as well, that for the Commission and in the assessment of the European Commission, Albania has met all the conditions now prior to the holding of the first IGC. You know very well that member states are still discussing the negotiating frameworks. The adoption of the negotiating frameworks is necessary in order to be able to hold the first intergovernmental conference, and that is where we are now.
Thank you. Are there other questions for Anna on enlargement policy, please? Tony, is your question on enlargement policy? No, it's on the protocol. So sorry, not yet. I had Josep, who was then next in line. Josep, you have the floor.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, absolutely. Go ahead.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, great. I'm Josep Berg from Estonian Public Broadcasting. My question would be about travel restrictions. Last week, the European Commission asked 6 countries to lift restrictions on their borders in line with the recommendation on travel that EU countries agreed last month. But some countries still have these restrictions in place. What can and will the Commission do to make those countries lift these restrictions?
Thank you. Question for Christian.
Yeah, thank you for the question. Good afternoon. Indeed, we have sent the administrative letters to 6 member states, Belgium, Denmark, Germany, Hungary, Finland, and Sweden. The deadline for reply has not yet passed, but we have already received 2 replies, namely from Germany and from Belgium. What I can say is that, as usual, we will now study carefully the replies that we have already received, and then, of course, the ones we will still receive. But, of course, the position of the Commission is very clear, remains very clear. It has not changed. Member states agreed on a coordinated approach to manage any restrictions to free movement in the EU. These recommendations are extremely clear, and they should be everyone's compass. So we expect all member states to follow this approach. So we will continue, of course, to follow this issue very closely as the guardian of the treaty.
Thank you. Are there other questions for Christian on the issue of borders or on rule of law in general? Josep, you have a follow-up.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes. So can you tell me just quickly, when is the deadline that they have to respond?
The deadline is Monday next week.
Okay, thank you. I do not see any other questions for Christian, so I come back to Ekrem, who had another issue. For Adalbert, I think.
Thank you, Eric. I would like to know whether the Commission has already sent or not the letter that has been prepared since last year, asked by some of the member states about Kosovo meeting or new assessment by the Commission of Kosovo meeting the benchmark for visa liberalizations. I understand that some member countries are still waiting for it.
Okay, thanks. Adalbert.
Hello, Ekrem, and thanks a lot for your continued interest in this question. I do not have anything new to add about the Commission's stance on this issue. The Commission continues to stand by its assessment that Kosovo is ready, and it is now for the member states to take this decision, and the Commission continues to encourage member states to do so.
Okay, thank you very much. This brings us to the end of today's midday briefing. As I said, we have a press conference in a few minutes with Vice President Vera Jourova and Commissioner Helena Dalli on the Commission's proposal on pay transparency measures to ensure that women and men get equal pay for equal work. So please stay tuned, and we will see you tomorrow. Thank you very much.